Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you all can hear me clearly. This is BWTM Sports Gaming. Once again, we're delivering with you for another world-class interview with a world-class trainer. Uncle James Ali Bashir, 52 years plus of heavyweight knowledge in the house we've got. So we'll be bringing Uncle Bashir right on straight away, no wasting any time. Uncle Bashir, how are we doing? Good to see you in the house again.
Everything is good. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Yes, I'm very sincere.
Fantastic. Uncle, let's get you in the house. There we go. So let's get straight into this. Waste no time. Any further thoughts about Joshua Usyk? Is anything else come to your mind? Oh, I just thought I'd let you know. Stacey McKinney let us in and told us that Joshua sought the advice of Andre Durrell to teach him how to fight southpaws. What's your thoughts
You have
on
a
that?
problem with audio. You have a problem with the audio. I don't know whether it's mine or yours.
Can you? All right, let's check. Mine's okay.
You're going in.
I'm okay for mine.
You're going in and out. You're going in and out.
Go out and come back in, Uncle.
All right. Let me see something here. Go out and come back in. Right.
going. Hello, hello. Have we got sound yet? Sound, audio, sound. Yes, we have sound. We have sound. Can everyone hear me now? Bear with me on this one. Okay, just trying to get Uncle back in the room. Right. Uncle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic, great. Let's get you straight in and let's get started. Apologies to everybody in the house. Technical hitch here and there, but we're in now. We are good. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Uncle Bashir's in the house. Let's get started. So, Uncle, as I was saying, Stacey McKinley revealed that Joshua sought the advice of Andre Terrell to help him fight Usyk. Tips on how to fight a southpaw. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yay and nay. I mean, that's one perspective. Andre is an experienced southpaw, but I don't know what to say about that. I wouldn't have if I were Joshua, I would not take guidelines from another active boxer. It's only Andre's perspective of how he would fight a southpaw. But I wouldn't. I'd look for a deeper application than that.
How would you have felt if that was Vlad Sirenko asking, let me say, Dillian White how to fight an orthodox fighter? How would you feel about that being his trainer? Would you find something disrespectful?
I would be against it. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good look for the trainer. I don't think it's a good look. I don't think that helps. It's just a perspective. It's a perspective from Darrell's position. All right, it's a perspective. It's an outlook. But I wouldn't take the word of an active boxer.
You'd been better off talking about Chris Bird if he had to do that. Chris Bird's a southpaw. He's a heavyweight. He's been a heavyweight champion of the world. If he had to do that, but really, he should just have to rely on his trainer. Is that not the case?
But like I said, it's not a good look for the trainer of Anthony Joshua that he went out to seek the advice of an active boxer. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. I'd question, his motives. I'm saying, what are you doing? You're making the whole team look bad. Not to say that Darrell doesn't know how to fight or Darrell doesn't know how to set up again, but that's Darrell's perspective. I would have sought a more knowledgeable, somebody has been in the game a bit longer and had a bit more experience than Darrell.
Of course, that makes sense. There are a lot of trainers he could have sought out, not just yourself, but the other trainers he could have sought out and got experience from them. Why would he have gone to Darrell? I still don't understand the connection between Darrell and Usyk.
I can't make
the connection either.
A 2 + 2 = 4. I can't make sense of that. I can't make sense of that. I mean, Anthony Joshua to me is running around. He says now he's watched the videotape and he knows how to beat Usyk. You didn't know how to beat Usyk prior to the fight? What are you saying?
What left hand, every left hand he was going, oh, that's a new lesson. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Or I should have followed a different game plan. Now, there's a new story coming out now that people are saying that Joshua didn't have the tank to fight Usyk. So if he'd gone out all guns blazing in the first 6 rounds and put pressure on Usyk, he would have run out of steam before 12 rounds. That's why he boxed the way that he did.
Well, that seems to be an issue with Anthony Joshua. You know, as far as the media, you know, depiction of him, that he has a problem with a gas tank. But I'll tell you what, any fighter that stresses out before a fight, you know, mentally stresses out before a fight, he's going to burn him out.
Of course he is. If
you hyperventilate before a fight, and I've seen it a lot. I've seen guys in great shape, but if they get in the fight, they get hit or something else, they hit a bump in the road, and they stress themselves out long before the fight is over. And once that happens, there's not much anybody can do about it.
Let me ask you this question. Is Anthony Joshua finished?
The jury is out on Anthony Joshua. The jury is out on Anthony Joshua. We have to wait for the next chapter in his story, you know. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, the jury is out on Anthony Joshua. He needs to collect himself, you know. He needs to bring somebody in the picture. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Stacey McKinley, because Stacey McKinley and we're chiming in on each other's words, you know. It doesn't have to be either one of us, but he has to bring in somebody knowledgeable that has the professional application to lead him. But you cannot have a lot of people in your corner who are inaccurate, because first of all, you know, what were they thinking to say, to allow him to think that he was going to outbox Oleksandr Usyk? I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? He did exactly what I warned about. I said that if my back was to the wall, remember when I said to you, I said if my back was to the wall, I'll take Joshua to win this fight. And I think that he can win the fight between 9 and 11 rounds. And what did I say right after that? I said, but I say that cautiously. I say that cautiously because if you don't have the diplomacy, if you don't have the right strategy, I said the fight was going to be won or lost in what? In the corners. How the corners, the strategic information that the corners was given to the boxers. That's what I told you. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said. I said that cautiously. I cautiously say that. I said because if he goes out there and tries to outbox Oleksandr Usyk, I said, well, he's going to get in trouble early. And that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
And for me, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that you slipped on a banana peel versus Ruiz. All right? You slipped on a banana peel. And I thought sure that Joshua's got it all together now. He's got it all together now. He can't make that mistake twice. And I told you, I said, he's got to win the fight. He's got to win the Usyk fight. Now that he's lost to Usyk, the situation about Usyk and about Ruiz is going to haunt him for the rest of his career. Because you have two little guys that came in and beat you. And I'll tell you something else. Usyk beat Joshua. He fought Joshua better than he fought Chisora. Chisora had the right idea. He just didn't have the stamina. He didn't have the gas.
Chisora fought with a game plan that was effective to beating Usyk. Just Joshua fought a tactic or a game plan that fought into the hands of Usyk.
Joshua fought tentatively. He fought like he wasn't sure, like he wasn't confident. You know, with the taller tissue jab, you know. I'll just reach out and touch you, you know.
Reach out and touch.
No.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Yeah. He was. I mean, the way he was using his jab, as though he wasn't short. You know, you can count the times on one hand that he went to the body. I said, man, you know, this is not a good look for the heavyweight champion of the world. You know, he's going out. He's enlisting Durrell, which tells me, I said, this guy's team, this guy's corner, everything is way out of whack here. You know, it's way out of whack. You know?
Steve Pemberton, good evening, Steve, says, can you ask Uncle this question, but also answer it yourself? What percentage of boxing is mental? Has Bashir coached people with strong religious or spiritual beliefs? And if so, does he feel having strong belief, does this give the boxer greater mental strength? Uncle, do you want to answer that first?
I think that the mental state of a boxer is all so important, even more important than the physical attributes. I think that boxing is like 70-30. You know, 70-30. I think it's 70% mental and 30% physical.
Okay.
I think it's just like I'll allude to this here. All of us have been youngsters, and all of us was in some kind of trouble with our mothers and fathers. And anticipating the beating, the spanking, whatever you want to call it, I was getting beaten.
All right? Getting beaten, so.
I wasn't getting no spanking, you know. I was getting beaten. Because they said, you know, my mother would say to me, that, you know, a hard head will make a soft ass, all right? 'Cause I'm tired of talking to you. I'm tired of playing around with you. I'm gonna put the wood to your butt, boy, because you know, because you're going around doing what you want to do. So I'm gonna put the wood to you, you know, what you asking for. And sometimes the anticipation of the beating was far worse than the beating.
The beating itself, yeah.
And I would lose. I probably would lose about 5 or 6 pounds between 5 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 o'clock at night. I would be sweating and thinking, "Oh my God, they're gonna kill me! They're gonna kill me!"
Yeah.
And then when I got the beating, I would go in the rear part of the house and I would look and see if they was looking, and I would tell my brothers, I said, "Man, I'm gonna do that again tomorrow." It wasn't all that bad. It wasn't that bad. You know? It wasn't that bad. I saw, if you watch the second fight between Boom Boom Mancini versus Livingston Bramble.
Yes.
Early on in the fight, it looked to me like Boom Boom was trying to get out. He was taking a beating from Bramble, and it looked like he said, "I can't see out the left eye, or I can't see out of my right eye," something to that effect. And it looked like he was trying to get out the fight, but the closer he got to the finish line, he said, "Well, it's not that bad. I can handle it." And then in the last round, the doctor came in. He said, "No, let me go. He was gung-ho because the worst was behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that the mental state of a boxer is far more important than the physical attributes.
Okay. I'm gonna respond by saying, and of course, Uncle, you're the guru here. In terms of sport in general, I think that boxing is exception because you're now talking about one-to-one combat. But in terms of world-class sport, I would say that it's 90-10. 90% mental, only 10% physical. And why I say that is you could be in the greatest shape in the world, but if you haven't got it together mentally and you step for them ropes and you met, like, I tell you a really good example of that would have been Frank Bruno. Bruno's physically in great shape. The minute Bruno stepped through those ropes and he fought anybody like a Tyson, he fell to pieces. And you think about Bruno was a specimen of a man, but then you look at someone like Evander Holyfield. Physically, again, great specimen of a man, but his mental strength brought him through, and his belief in himself that he can beat any man he gets in the ring with. And I think that's the difference. I think the 10%.
Evander
Go ahead, Uncle.
Holyfield is a prime example of mental stability.
Mental and physical. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Even at 50,
I think that's why.
Even at 58.
I think that's why he did so well with Mike Tyson. Because Evander was in control of his mental state. You understand? You got to go in there with a baseball bat to beat Evander Holyfield, because Evander Holyfield said, "Look, I'll whoop anybody in the world. Get in the ring."
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. Muhammad Ali had a great mental state.
There you go.
Muhammad Ali took it away from George Foreman. He took it from Sonny Liston. He took it away from so many fighters.
Joe Frazier, the third fight, the last fight, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, that was mental strength, wasn't it?
It was mental state on. It was a mental state on both their behalf.
Oh yeah.
Because Joe Frazier wasn't back in. Joe Frazier wasn't afraid. No, he wasn't afraid of nothing. Nothing mentally bothered Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier said, "Let's fight. Come on." Joe Frazier was a fighter, and he was in control of his mental faculties. It's very, very important in a boxing ring. You know,
what about
I just see a lot of fighters, boxers that I've worked with over the years, and then boxers that I've observed on television at live fights, and I can see in most cases where a boxer has that confidence, where he has the mental stability, and where the mental stability oozes out of the fighter before he gets in the ring. And then while they're in the ring, it's like they're walking around with lead shoes on, because they can't shake the jitters. They can't shake what's in their mind. You know, they get in the ring and they anticipate things going wrong, and oftentimes it does go wrong. Now, you got to go in there. You got to go in there and fight, man. You got to go in there and fight. I've always thought to myself.
You know yourself, Uncle, that Usyk was a religious man. Do you think it makes a difference if a man is religious or spiritual? Let's use that word.
Yes, when he believes, yes, I think it makes a difference. I'm sure it makes a difference. When they believe, they can't just profess to be a religious entity, but when they truly believe, as Usyk does, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah. All right, Uncle. Let's see if we're there.
I mean, look at Chris Bird. Chris Bird was in there with the biggest guys in the world.
But he was a Christian as well. There you go. He was a Christian, Chris Bird.
And Chris Bird was always in control. I mean, he'd be in there with some killers. And Chris Bird was a little guy compared to the heavyweights he was fighting. But he's always relaxed, always pumping the jab, always boxing, slick. And he was in there with the killers of that division of that time. But he's always relaxed because he had his belief. He believed strongly. And that belief carried him through. Many of the guys that he fought, they couldn't touch him.
Can I go back to you about that 70-30 thing? I really want to ask you more about it, because I'm like thinking 90-10. But if it's 70-30, you're the guy that's been around a lot longer than me, and you work with many more champions. Why do you say 70-30?
Because a lot of people put their faith in their spiritual belief, but they put just as much faith in their physical attributes. They make a deal with themselves. They make a deal with themselves saying, if I got this shape, that's my Bank of America card, that shape. So I'm putting my stock in my spiritual aspect, but I'm putting just as much stock into the physical aspect.
But are we just talking the general boxer, or are we talking at the elite level? Because there's a difference between the general boxer and the guys operating at the elite level.
Well, in the heat of a fight, anything can happen. You might get cut. You might get cut in the mouth, on the eyelid, someplace critical, Now your planned mode of attack has drastically changed. Now you got a cut on the eyelid. You got a cut in the mouth that you're swallowing blood. Anybody knows you can't swallow that blood for so long, so you got to try to get this guy out of there.
Yeah.
You understand? Once you start to swallow that blood, then end comes soon, man. You know? End comes soon, man. So you want to try to get it done. And it escalates things. It makes you speed up your program. You might have had a plan to say, all right, I'm going to drag the fight out to 8 rounds, and then I'm going to start turning on. But now, all of a sudden, in the 3rd round, you got a bad cut over the eye, over the eyelid, you know, under the eye, something, especially in the mouth where you're swallowing blood. So they have to change the whole program then.
Okay.
That's why. But I can understand where you're coming from. I'll say
right.
70-30. I could even say 80-20. You know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Uncle. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Let's talk about the fight, Wilder Fury 3, and your breakdown of Wilder Fury 3. Malik Scott, the new trainer. Tyson Fury sticking with Hill. What's his name? Manny Stewart's nephew, Sugar Hill. Stay with him.
Javen Hill.
Yeah, Javen Hill. And also, what are your thoughts on the whole, the energy of the fight and where Wilder's at and where Fury is?
It's the same thing in the Joshua Usyk fight.
Right.
It heavily depends on the perspective of the corners. Even though Tyson Fury is a loose cannon, because Tyson Fury is gonna be Tyson Fury. Once the lights come down and they come out that locker room, Tyson Fury is gonna do what Tyson Fury do. Deontay Wilder is more apt to listen to Malik Scott, because I believe that Deontay believes in Malik Scott, and I believe that they're gonna play a pretty good game in that corner, because they know each other, they confide in each other, and Deontay Wilder has done a couple of things that lets me know that, he confides in Malik Scott, so that could help him. That could help him drastically in that fight. I think that he's going to need the help. I think that Tyson Fury is going to try to steamroll Deontay. I think that Tyson Fury is going to try to bull him, knowing the thinking that of Javen Hill. Javen Hill is going to send Tyson Fury after Deontay Wilder. They're going to let Deontay warm up.
Uh-huh.
They're not going to let him warm up. They're going to take the fight right to him. They're going to try to take the fight right to him. Now,
exactly.
And Malik Scott, believe me, Malik has worked on the slingshot, that right hand. They worked on that. He worked on a lot of other things, but I know Malik. I know how he thinks. He's working on the slingshot. They just want to land that right hand one time. If he can land the right hand one time, and it doesn't have to land solidly, just enough to send a warning shot that I can hurt you. And that can change the outlook of the whole fight. It can change the outlook of it's just like somebody shooting at me and you, and they just miss us. That mental note that you sent, saying, damn, I don't want to get hit by that. Did you see that bullet did to that window, or what that bullet did to that wall? I don't want to get hit with that. So just enough to rearrange Tyson's mental state, I mean, mentality is a very fragile, very, very fragile thing inside of a fight. And when you're dealing with the big boys like that, it's very tedious,
I'm gonna ask you a few questions in terms of Wilder. In my preview, I asked a few questions, and the few questions were this, or maybe I should say this. I said Deontay Wilder should take full responsibility. If he did get spiked, it's his fault. If the gloves were tampered with, it's his fault. If the costume was too heavy, it's his fault. And I'll say why I say it's his fault. Him and his team. He says JD, we know JD was in the corner, was in the room when those gloves were being arranged. But JD is still in that corner. Would you not have fired JD?
It wouldn't be out of the question.
Uncle. Listen,
it wouldn't be out of it wouldn't be it wouldn't be out of, if he's in that, listen, it wouldn't be out of the question. Every time that I went into a locker room to observe the wrappings of the hand, I checked out every aspect. I put my hands inside the glove before he put the glove on. You understand? I was always there when they wrapped, when they put the tape on the gloves. You understand? I always examined the glove after he put the tape on to know where the markings on that glove was. If the markings have been tampered with, you can see it because they put the line. That's why they scribble the lines so that you can tell if it's been tampered with. The lines doesn't line up, you can tell that the glove's been open. So you gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you're doing. I've done the gloves a million times throughout my boxing years. I've watched the wrappers on the hand. I think that's petty, but people do it. They tamper with the gloves, you know. But I've watched the wrappers of the gloves many, many times. I've even observed people doing unsavory things, like they'll wrap the glove and they'll try to distract me and use a sanitary napkin. You know, they'll try to put the sanitary napkin in between the wrappers. Oh, whoa! We can't put that in there. It's the craziest that people will try this kind of stuff to see if they can just get away with it. You know, I said, no, you can't put that in there. You know, they try to use sanitary napkins because that guy's hands be very sore, and the sanitary napkin is going to cushion the blows with the tape on and stuff. But it also makes a cast. You break somebody's skull like that did. So I said, no, you can't put that in there. You know, we was down there in Australia, and they tried to use another tape, and it has some kind of cushioning and elastic in it. That's so you can't use that. And they were David Toole's people. They wanted to use the tape. Said, no, we always use the tape. I said, no. We have to do what the WBO commission says to do. And we kept going back and forth. So I called the WBO chairman in there and said, look, let's straighten this out. This is the tape that's used across the board. And now they're trying to use this tape. They said, no, you have to use the tape that he's showing. That I showed him. I said, this is the tape you got to use. You know what I'm saying? David Toole was fighting Monty Barry, and it was and they tried to slide and use some different tape because I know when the tape got wet, it was going to become a cast, and you don't want no cast on David Toole's hands because he's already a hard puncher, you know.
So, answer me this question: have you known in your boxing experience a glove that can make the knuckles part actually show the knuckles of a fighter in the glove itself? How is that possible?
Well, you know, either the glove was no good to begin with, or the glove was tampered with before they put the glove on.
So how could that? I'm just talking hypothetically. How could a glove be tampered with when the corner man, Jay Diaz, was in the room when they're wrapping the gloves up? At what point in time can they unwrap the glove and change that? Or did JD not spot that, if that's the case?
I don't know that JD's is that experienced to know the difference.
Exactly. So, but then again, that goes back onto Wilder, doesn't it? You can't say a guy's inexperienced in the court. You can't say an inexperienced guy again. So there's that. The water. How was it? If he got spiked, how was he able to get spiked? This is the world heavyweight champion. Surely there should be some protocol to say, don't drink the water, don't do this. You looked at Tyson Fury when he was with Klitschko, when he fought Klitschko. He was out there in Germany, and I literally was in that room, that dressing room, moments later on the telephone, and I remember Asgar, who was guarding
I went I went into the room when they was wrapping Tyson Fury's hands.
Okay.
I went into the room to observe the wrapping of Tyson Fury's hands. You know, I stayed in the room and watched the wrappings of his hands. I was there in the room when they wrapped Samuel Peters' hands. You know, a lot of times I've done it. You know.
Okay. So the water.
I take the wrapping. You take the wrapping. I smell the wrapping. I feel for dampness.
Okay.
I smell, see if there's any foreign substance on the wrap, and then I say, go ahead and wrap. And I don't take my eyes off those hands until they're wrapped. Then I look at them when the commissioner mark them, and then I say, okay, and I make it known to them that we don't want no gloves put on the fighter's hands until I'm in the room. When I come in the room, I put my hands in the gloves. I feel all over the texture with my fingers. I pull the gloves around. I feel it on the top of them, and I say, put them on. And I'm right there. I'm always watching. But I don't know that everybody is that experienced. They might miss the little fine points. Shane Mosley people. Nazim,
yeah, that was Nazim Richardson picked up. Yeah.
Well, he picked up the wrap, and there was a moisture to it. There was a moisture to it, like they had been wet. That was the first giveaway, you know. And Nazim, being who he was, called it out. Say, hey man, there's something wrong here, man. There's something wrong with the gauze. It's not supposed to feel moist or wet. Then I had one boxer ask me, said, I wonder if that's a culture when it comes to the Mexican fighters. I thought that was a good question. You know, he said, I wonder if that's a culture with the Mexican boxer. You know, that they use plaster Paris.
So okay. So that's the glove side. But what about the water side of things? Your water being spiked. How did that happen in a camp, with a team?
That happens when you have disorganization. That's why I pointed out. That's what I pointed out about the Joshua Usyk fight. You've got a guy in the corner saying, "Brilliant, AJ, brilliant." You know, I don't know if that was his place to say that, to say anything. You understand? To say anything. I worked the corner with Emmanuel Stewart for many years. I never said, I can't think of a time I said anything. For many years, I can't think of a time. Even when I worked with any trainer, Tommy Parks, you know, Lee Black, any of these guys that I worked with, I don't care if I worked one fight with them. I don't care if I worked in a preliminary fight. I never said nothing. Because that's how you learn. That's why people is more apt to give you knowledge. But you can't be talking out of turn because it's distracting. One word can distract a fighter. When Lou Duva jumped on the ring apron during the Meldrick Taylor Chavez fight, he distracted Meldrick Taylor. Meldrick Taylor turned to look at Duva and still said, "No, you didn't answer, so the fight's over." But I think that Meldrick would have answered still hadn't Lou Duva been on that ring apron. So that little distraction, just that split second with Meldrick Taylor, you can see Meldrick turn his head to look at Duva. When he turned back, still said the fight's over.
Coach Chris has said, he says, Don House is the person that Don House is the person that will check the gloves. The same Don House that was in the corner of Bermain Stavern and was Stavern's trainer for many years. So he's saying Don House, the UFC guy. I don't know. I reserve judgment on Don House personally because I have some personal feelings about Don House I'm not too convinced about. But if Wilder thinks that Don House is the man, then fair enough. I hope he's got Don House right. Your thoughts on Don House, and has he got that experience?
I knew Don sparingly. You know, I don't know him up close and personal because I've never worked with him. I've never been around him except for at the fight site, maybe a week. You know, and I assume that he knows boxing. But all those guys are younger than me. Those guys came after me. They weren't there in the bit when I started boxing. When I started doing it as a trainer.
Don House was Staverne's trainer.
I understand who Don House is. I'm saying that those guys came after me. I had already been in the sport for years, and I didn't see those guys. Those guys came after me, you know?
Right.
Many of the guys that I see in the sport, they came after me. So I never had the instance where I was working with them, you know, or what they did. But I see a lot of mistakes that a lot of guys make, you know, a lot of mistakes. You know,
So,
in training the fighter, in preparing the fighter, you know. First of all, I don't want to be in a corner with anybody where I'm not appreciated. If I've been out here in boxing for 52 years, September made 52 years that I've been in this sport. 52 years, ups and downs. If I'm not appreciated by the boxer, then I want to go. I don't care how much money I'm making. I want to be, at the end of the day, I'm into what I'm doing, and I want to be appreciated. I want to be respected. And if a boxer feels that they can't respect me, hey man, give me my hat and jacket and let me go. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be nobody's yes man. I'm giving you sound guidance. This is what I need you to do, and that's what I don't need you to do. But if I'm not appreciated, say, hey man, give me my hat and jacket. Let me go. You know, I want to be appreciated for what I do.
okay.
So it's very important.
Let's talk about Malik Scott, and particularly, this is his coming out party. Let's be honest. It's his first big fight as him being the head coach, the head honcho. He's got a big job ahead of him tonight. He's going to look after Wilder, keep his own head cool, and stuff like the corner, giving the right instructions. Also, the shenanigans before the fight, the gloves, the water. Is Malik ready for?
Well, you have to have. This is what I would do. When I get to a fight, I designate. You watch that water. You, nobody else. You, nobody touches that water but you. Something happens, the responsibility is yours. Nobody, and I mean nobody, touches those bottles. Nobody goes near those bottles. If somebody goes near those bottles, you're supposed to attack their movement like a German Shepherd. All right? So you're in charge of that water. That's what I do. All right? The gloves. You got the gloves. You don't let nobody touch those gloves. You don't want. If somebody wants to see the gloves, then everybody should see them. So this guy wants to look at the gloves, so everybody should come on and stand there and look at the gloves. When you designate people to watch something, say, look, if something happens, it's the responsibility going to fall on you. So when you have a disorganized corner, that's when you have a problem. There shouldn't be 15 people talking in no corner. Everybody claim that they want to help the fighter. You want to help the fighter, shut up. Shut your ass up. You ain't got no business talking in this corner. I don't allow that in my corners. I don't like it. If you respect the trainer, if you respect the fighter, then shut your ass up and let the people do their work. Now, I got a cut man in the corner. I got a second in to put the sponge on or pass me water or whatever. You let me do all that there. You don't need no 2 and 3 people. You got 1 minute in the corner. You want to try to relax and refresh the fighter and make sure his mind is clear when they go back out there into the center of the ring. But if I'm trying to say something, then somebody else is trying to say something, then that whole minute that we fit in the corner was useless because now you got 1,000 things in his mind.
So Malik Scott's role on Saturday night. how much you've known Malik for many years. How do you think he will respond moving from an assistant trainer, working in the gym, to the biggest night of his career, taking his fighter to the World Heavyweight Championship on the night?
Malik should be all right. Malik's been around boxing a long time. He's been around a long, long time. So he should be able to make the adjustment. This is a big platform, but I think that he's going to be up to the task. I think that he's going to handle himself in that corner. The biggest thing that Malik has to watch out for is being emotional. Don't get caught up in the pre-fight antics. You know, keep your mind on doing the job. Getting Deontay Wilder from point A to point B, from point B to point C, and so on. That's what he has to do. Stay focused and don't get emotional in the corner. Even whatever way it goes. There's going to be some rough spots in the fight where he's got to control his emotions. Don't get too high strung. Just cool and calm. He knows what to do. Just like I said, it's a big platform, you know. It's a big platform. I don't think that the fight is going to be a long fight. I think it's going to be a short fight. I think it's going to be a short, explosive fight.
Do you think that Tyson's perfect when it comes to mind games? Do you think he'll play on the fact that Wilder's talked about the drink and the gloves and stuff? Do you think he'll play on that and say, you better watch your water, or you better watch your gloves, or you better make sure your costumes? Do you think he'll play all those games? And do you think that psychologically that'll have any effect on Wilder? Or do you think Wilder's beyond that now?
I think Wilder has had enough time to ponder and collect himself. I think that he won't get drawn into the mind games. I think that he's focused and ready to do business. Tyson Fury is a master at it, you know, so he's going to be digging him and trying to have his way. You know, he's going to get, you know, you can say one thing, but when the atmosphere starts, then he's got to control himself. Got to control himself. But I think that he's going to be prepared. I think that he and Malik Scott are going to do a good job out there. I don't know who's going to win this fight. I can't pick a clear winner, you know, but it's going to be interesting. But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a long fight.
I've said that the key to this fight is footwork, i.e., Wilder being able to push Fury back to the ropes and Fury being able to push Wilder back to the ropes. Because if either of those guys back to the ropes, I think that's where the fight is won. Your thoughts?
I think the fight is won if Tyson Fury can avoid getting hit by Deontay Wilder. He's got to take away
the right hand.
Deontay Wilder's right hand. I don't care what nobody says, you know, whatever he and Malik Scott worked on in the gym, that's all good, you know. It's all good. But I don't think a lot of that's going to be available for Deontay Wilder to use on the night of the fight. I just don't. I don't see it. I think that Tyson Fury has just got to avoid getting hit with the right hand, because if he gets hit with the right hand, I don't know, man. Deontay Wilder is definitely a bomber with that right hand. You know, I think that Malik has worked on some things with Deontay Wilder in training, but when it comes down to the heat of the battle, he's going to go back to doing what he does best, and that's trying to deliver that right hand.
Okay.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
It is. Tyson Fury's had more time to work with Jevon Hill. So, your thoughts? Does he become a better fighter because of that? And this punching power thing, he said he's learning how to punch harder. Your thoughts? Because he's punching with better technique.
Well, Jevon Hill is an aggressive type of trainer, like his uncle Emmanuel. He's trying to adapt a lot of Emmanuel's style. He's been around Emmanuel forever. So, you know, he's been around Emmanuel all his life. So, you know, quite naturally, he's going to adapt to some of Emmanuel's strategies and some of Emmanuel's ways. And I think that Javen is going to send Tyson after Deontay Wilder. I think he's going to try to jump on Deontay Wilder. I really think that he's going to jump on Deontay Wilder. But in doing so, he's got to watch the right hand. He's got to be careful with that. And I think that Tyson has worked out a plan how to deflect that right hand. If he takes it away, it's going to be a more difficult fight for Deontay Wilder.
Interesting. So 19 stone plus. He's saying 19 stone. He says he's going to bulldoze Deontay Wilder. Wilder looks bigger now. He seems to put on more weight. Is that a good thing? Or is that taking over from what Wilder is at 215?
No, I think that Deontay's getting bigger. I think he's 6'7", so he can carry it. But I just don't know about his little legs. But I'll see that he looks massive around his torso area. You know, I don't know if he can carry it on those little legs. You know, over a period of time. If the fight should, I think the fight is going to be over inside of 5 rounds. I think something's going to happen within that first 5 rounds. Somebody's going to get blown away. But if it should go past 5 rounds, then we're going to find out what conditioning these guys are. Because I expect a lot of tough fighting between that first 5 rounds. If it goes into 5 rounds, I expect a lot of banging, punching, mauling, brawling.
I expect also Tyson leaning on Wilder, leaning on him, headlocking him, doing all that sort of being a big man and leaning on Wilder.
That's what Wilder just can't back up the way he backed up in the second fight.
Exactly.
He's got to back up with a plan. You understand? Back up with a plan. You know, the old trainers would say when you back up, jab backing up. There's no law written that you can't jab backing up. Jab and look to land the right hand from that. Jab, right hand, hook. You know, do throw combinations when you back up. Don't just back up trying to get away from somebody because it's going to wear you out. You've got to make a dent in the big ship that's in front of you.
You used to tell me, Uncle.
Huh?
You always used to tell me, don't back up, slide to the sides.
Right. You have to do that. Back up with a plan. Don't back up just to get away from somebody. Back up with a plan. You want to land punches. That's the whole key. You want to land punches. You want to put a dent in the ship in front of you. You want to put a dent. You want to hurt something. I don't care if it's just an arm. Hurt something.
19 stones coming at you.
Well, tell the listening audience what 19 stones is. You know, we use pounds here in America.
Well, how much? Can somebody turn that into pounds for me, please?
Pardon me?
I'm not you. I'm trying to get people to change the weight in pounds. People are questioning the heart of Malik Scott because he didn't beat the count against Chisora and the way he fell over against Deontay Wilder, and they're trying to change that, add that to him being a coach. Does that matter?
Well,
I don't think he did. But
no. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. That's two different entities. You know, him being a boxer and now him being a coach is two different entities.
Yeah.
And you have to apply yourself accordingly. You know, he was a boxer. Now he switched to being a coach. So he has to learn how to be a coach just like he learned how to be a boxer. But they're two entirely different entities. So you can't base one assumption on what he did as a boxer and then make the same assumption on what he's doing as a trainer. I mean, he's got some growing to do. But, you know, get a man time. Get a man time.
Do you think there are people in the media say this will be exactly the same fight as the second fight? I can't see that because obviously there's been a year and a half or more between the two guys. And
I see some similarities that Tyson's going to try to employ. I see some similarities, but I can't see it. I can't see that. I can't see that going the same way. And when they stopped the fight, I look back on the fight. Maybe Deontay could have kept going.
Okay, that's 280
I
pounds, Uncle.
think it might have been a little premature.
Okay, 280 pounds, Uncle.
280 pounds. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot for a guy, an advantage guy. If a guy hits you with 280 pounds, he don't have to be a puncher. He's just 280 pounds. He's 280 pounds, and that's a lot.
120 kilograms, 265 pounds.
Yeah.
266 pounds.
Where's the fight being held? In Las Vegas?
Yes. Now, Latvinder asked the question, why would you employ a boxer as your trainer after you knocked him out? Well, Latvinder, it shows that your boxing knowledge history is maybe a little on the short side. Howard Eastman, British middleweight champion, knocked out Rob McCracken and then afterwards employed him to be his trainer. So, there you have it. It's happened. Wilder's not the first to have done that.
Yeah, I remember Robert Eastman.
David Hay knocked out Derek Chisora and ended up turning around managing Chisora. So I mean, things happen. Go ahead, Uncle.
I was happy to see Chisora working with David Hay. I was happy to see that. I like that. I like that idea that David Hay came back as Chisora's manager.
Okay.
Chisora, I like the fact that he says, okay, yeah, we fought, now come in and manage me. That shows diplomacy, man. That shows growth, man. I like that Chisora did that. That was a classy move.
What do you make of the talk of Malik Scott being a yes man to Wilder? And if so, how detrimental could that be to Wilder?
I don't know. I just know that they have a friendship. I hope that is not a yes man situation. I don't know either one of them that well because I haven't been around those guys in years, and a lot can change in a couple of years. So I hope that's not the case, though. I wouldn't like that at all.
If that's the case, if it is the case, then and then Wilder's allowed to do what he's normally been allowed to do, then
I get the impression from the little tidbits I've got, the little times that I'm peeping in the window with their interviews and their training sessions and stuff. I get the impression that Wilder respects Malik Scott and that he looks up to his guidance in the corner, but it remains to be seen under the big lights. As I've told you before, it remains to be seen under the big lights. How a boxer and a trainer conduct themselves under the big lights, that's what the test is. You can rehearse and do all those things in the gym, but everything boils down to the night of when the big lights come down. Even before I have some big fights. I had like this uneasy feeling, until I got to the ring. When I got to the ring with the boxer, I already felt like finally we can get this done now.
Yeah.
It's that time in between, it's that dead zone that you got to wrestle with your thoughts. Did I make the right decision in taking this fight? Like recently with Vlad Sirenko and Ustinov. I embraced Ustinov at the weigh-in. I said, well, damn, this guy's hard as a brick. So naturally, I started thinking, like, well, damn, did I make a mistake choosing this guy? And my mind kept going back to this guy as hard as a brick, you know? And I started just doing, thinking in my head, thinking too much, you know, just thinking. You know, sometimes you can overthink. Something that AJ does, just overthink. You know, but by the time I got to the ring, I was all right. You know, hey, just keep your hands up and box. You always want to start the fight out boxing. You don't always want to come out the way Mike Tyson came out against Marvin Frazier. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can run into something. You know, you don't want to run into. You know, you don't want to run into nothing. You want to work behind your jab and settle in. Sometimes you can go out there and jump on somebody, the way Lennox did Galata, you know, Michael Grant, you know. Sometimes you can sense it that I can go for it, you know. Other times you got to be.
If Tyson Fury jumped on Deontay Wilder and did a sort of Lewis type job like Lewis did on Galata, he did it on Wilder, what would that say about Tyson Fury?
If he does that there, then you know I think that would make him uno numero in the heavyweight division. You know, I think that makes him uno numero. One thing that Tyson Fury is big on, he's big on confidence.
Yes.
He's big on confidence. You know, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. So it's going to be an interesting fight.
What about if Wilder comes out and Brazils him? Comes out, first round, bam, and knocks Fury over. First round.
Well, he can always say, "I told you so."
And your thoughts on John Fury? John Fury called out David Haye. Said he needs 5 weeks to prepare. He'll fight David Haye. That's the father of Tyson.
Yeah, I know. Much to do about nothing. It's just talk. Just talk. I want to see this fight. You know, I want to see this fight. I want to see this happen. I don't think the fight is going to go for long. I think the fight is a 5-round fight. Either way.
Do you think it's the most anticipated fight of the year?
Fight of the year?
No, anticipated fight of the year.
I saw the fight of the year. I sent the video over to you.
You think that's fight of the year? But what about this one coming up? It's got everything in this.
You saw the cruiserweights that I sent you?
I still ain't seen it yet, Uncle. I still ain't seen it yet. Got to change phones.
Yeah, well, you go look at that video. That's the fight of the year, all right? I don't think no fight gonna outdo that. Those guys were showing expertise, application, planning, setting, jabbing, hooking. They were doing everything, and it wasn't no 2-3 round fight. Those guys was banging. That was the fight of the year as far as I'm concerned. So somebody gonna have to really, really bring it to get the fight of the year. Because those guys did it.
What's the name of the 2 fighters? You remember the name of the fighters, Uncle?
I can't think of the guy's name. One of them had an African name. They're cruiserweights. I'll find the fight. But it was a good solid fight. I think for 10 or 12 rounds they were fighting, and they wasn't hugging. They was fighting. These guys was boxing. Both of them was giving and taking. And I said that's what the people say. Those 2 guys could save boxing because that's what the people think.
Galanton versus Apochi is top 3 candidate fight of the year.
Yes. So that's what the people pay to see. That's boxing. That's boxing. Where ain't nobody trying to be no pretty boy. Ain't nobody trying to duck out. Nobody's trying to save themselves. We're here to fight. I'm here to beat you. You here to beat me. Let's fight.
Estrada versus Chocolito 2 is the fight of the year for me.
Oh yeah, that's another good fight. People want to see fights. People want to see fights, you know, especially with the big guys.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they'll accept the smaller guys, but they want to see a fight with the big guys. They want to see a fight.
How important is this fight, Fury versus Wilder 3, for the heavyweight division in terms of how it ends?
Well, Usyk and Joshua was a good fight. I think the fight could have been better. All right. It takes two to tango. All right.
Right.
It was a good fight, but not standoutish. You know, because Joshua looked like he was trying to find himself in the fight, find out things about himself. Usyk was doing his job.
He was asking Usyk for an autograph. He was asking Usyk for autograph, and every time he asked Usyk for autograph, Usyk hit him with a straight left hand.
Yeah, clean left hand between the guard and around the guard. He was getting hit with the same left hand. He was getting hit with the same left hand between the guard and around the guard. They would land
I think if I asked Stevie Wonder, he would have probably given me the same analysis as well. He would have given me the same what AJ should not have done, asking Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles.
AJ seemed so robotical, you know. It seemed like he was running by battery or something. He seemed so robotical, like he was stiff as a board, like he'd have no fluid movement. You know, when you look at a guy like James Quick Tillers.
Yeah.
James Quick Tillers had mobility and movement, and he was sweet with his movement, you know. But AJ looked like his arms was tired.
I'm gonna pull you up about something, Uncle. Remember what I told when I said to you, Mike Tyson would beat AJ today after he fought Roy Jones. And I said he'd beat AJ. You went, nah, Mike's too old for that. Mike would have murdered AJ in there that night because AJ had been scared of Mike hitting him. From round one, Mike would have jumped on him. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, AJ didn't look that good, you know. He looked beatable. He looked beatable by Mike Tyson.
Come on, Uncle. He would have beaten Mike would have beaten him that night. That same AJ, Mike would have beaten him. Come on. As soon as Mike hit that chin, what would have happened?
Yeah, he'd had some problems. Because one thing, that's the last thing to go on a fighter.
And if
the last thing to go on any fighter is the punching power. And Mike gets maximum leverage. Mike gets a lot of hip into his punches. You know, a lot of hip. Somebody just put an analogy on the internet, said that what would happen if Mike Tyson fought Joe Frazier. I said that Mike Tyson probably would knock Joe Frazier out because Joe Frazier had the perfect style for Mike Tyson. The perfect style. And Mike could hit with either hand. He could hit. You know, Joe was a good left hooker, but Mike Tyson could punch with both hands. Mike can hit you with overhand right, left hook, uppercut, anything, and he can get you in trouble. He can hurt you. I mean, ask Jesse Ferguson. Michael Spinks.
Ask Frank Bruno. That's more realistic. Ask Frank. Ask Big Frank. And I think Big Frank could beat Joshua as well. Not now, but I think in Frank Bruno's prime, he would have beat Joshua.
I think Lennox would have beat him, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Of course he would have done. Of course he would have done. Absolutely. Absolutely. So your final prediction for this fight, Uncle, if I have to push your back against the wall and how you see this fight going?
It's very tight. It's very tight. You know, if I'm in Tyson's camp, I got to be worried about what Deontay Wilder's plan is for that right hand. My whole focus would be on that right hand. All the other stuff I could deal with, I'm just watching that right hand. In Deontay's camp, they got to be figuring, what do we do when Tyson Fury comes forward? He wants to bull us around. Any window that we have to punch, we need to punch. Malik Scott did a lot of pad work inside the gym stuff. He needs to utilize that pad work. Any distance that he has, he needs to use that ring to keep the distance. He's got to keep on punching. You got to keep some space between him and Tyson Fury. He cannot let Tyson Fury get him to the ropes, because if he gets him to the ropes, it's going to be a problem for Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder is landing that right hand, any time he can lands the right hand together, one behind the other, it's going to be a problem for Tyson Fury. But the major thing is the strategy of the corners. That's what's going to win the fight, and that's usually the case. Because when guys start fighting, they don't know where they are. Most of the time, they don't know where they are. They're waiting for somebody to drive for them. So they put the trainers in the driver's seat and say, "Oh, you drive. Just tell me when to make a, I'm the car. You just drive. Tell me when to make a right, when to left." You understand? That's what the big thing is going to be. But if they're failing, if there's any failure in the corners, then it's going to be left to the fighters. It's going to be left to the fighters to decide what's to be done in the ring to win the fight. I just can't pick a clear winner. Tyson Fury's going to come in there big. He's going to try to bull Deontay. Deontay's got to get room to land the right hand, And Deontay ain't got no bad left hook. It's just not as good as the right hand, but he doesn't have a bad left hook. And I know they've worked on it, We got to see what's going to happen when the big lights come down.
How does Wilder's team deal with the shenanigans? Because obviously Wilder's got concerns about Fury cheating. How does Wilder's team shut that down in Vegas when they arrive in Vegas and come fight time?
Like I said, Malik is the captain. He's got to run the ship. He's got to keep Wilder away from that emotional stuff. Keep him away from it. Keep him away from it. Vlad Sirenko is my priority. And I would suggest that Vlad Sirenko to stay away from it, because that doesn't mean nothing. Talking, huffing, and puffing don't mean nothing. Everything is on the line when that bell rings for go. That's what I'm focused on. So I just look, the last time I got to that shout match and all that stuff, I got knocked in the head. So I'm staying away from that stuff. I'm just healing up from that there. So all the emotional stuff, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. You got to stay focused on the task at hand, and that's to win the fight. You want to win the fight. You want to win the fight, and the more that you stay away from that emotional stuff, the more focused that Deontay is going to be. But Malik knows Deontay. Deontay knows Malik. They're going out there. They're going to do the best they can out there.
Would you invest in going to the body the way Don House has revealed they're going to go to the body of Tyson Fury?
Well, he's got a lot of body to punch. Deontay's got a lot of body to punch. I don't know whether it's going to do any good. I wouldn't risk going down into nobody. I would just punch straight ahead. I wouldn't bend nowhere. At 6'7", I wouldn't bend down there.
Vlad never did it. Vladimir Klitschko never did that. He didn't throw no body shots.
I wouldn't risk going down there to the body because of Tyson's counter punches. You know, Tyson is known to go from orthodox to southpaw and then back to orthodox. He can get you in the mix doing that there, and it's not gonna be good if he gets hit on top of the head.
Okay. Do you have any final?
Just work it. Look, when you've got heavyweights, tall heavyweights, these guys are tall guys. I think Tyson is 6'9", and Deontay is 6'7". You know, what my thing is, I always let my tall fighters. I always kept the tall fighters stay tall. Don't bend nowhere. Stay tall. Don't start bending. You know. And I don't teach the heavyweights a whole lot of stuff. You don't need it, especially when they can punch. You teach them how to work behind a good jab and how to land the right hand anywhere. I don't make no plans with a land right hand. Preferably I like to land the punch on the chin. But I don't care where it lands. As long as it lands above the waist, as long as it lands above the cup, I don't care. Throw it. Throw it. Throw it and rip back with the left hook. But I don't have my heavyweights doing a whole lot of different things. They ain't no welterweights. They ain't no super middleweights. You work behind the jab and look to land the right hand and look to land the left hook. Gotta get close to you, fire uppercuts. That's it. If you got a good boxer who know how to think, then you don't have to give them a whole lot of things to do in the ring. He want to punch to the body. I mean, I guess it's gonna be so. I would punch to the body when they got close. I'd punch to the body, but I wouldn't try to bend down the jab to the body because he's subject to getting counter punched. It's not gonna be good if you get hit on top of the head. When you bend down like that, you can make yourself vulnerable to get hit on top of the head. That's not good.
I.e., Mr. Razor Ruddock versus Lennox Lewis.
Yeah. You're right.
Jabbing
You're
to the
absolutely
body.
right.
Yeah. But that was Ruddock jabbing to Lennox's body for.
Huh?
What that was Ruddock. He threw a weak jab to Lennox's body, and Lennox chopped him with a right hand over the top. That was it. Bam. Good night. Exactly.
Yes, that's a good point. I vividly remember that. That spelled the N for Razor Ruddock. That spelled the N for Razor Ruddock.
I would not advise going anywhere. If you're going to throw body shots, make sure you're up close against the ropes, and then whack your body shots in with Fury's back against ropes. I wouldn't be whipping body shots in from any long distance.
You got a tall guy. You got a guy 6'7" and a guy 6'9". You want to jab the chest. But don't bend down trying to jab nobody because you're liable to get counterpunched. That's exactly what, it's good that they alluded to that particular fight because I remember that fight vividly clear. And Ruddock was done after that day. He got hit with a counter right hand, trying to jab down to the body. It's a big guy. What are you jabbing down there for? You're a big guy. What are you jabbing down there for? You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. You don't have to go down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not a good thing. You got two tall guys. Stay tall. Stay tall and use your jab. Jab the chest. Jab the shoulders. Jab the forearms, the biceps. You don't have to go down there. Try every now and then the window might open. You might be able to stick a jab in it, but I wouldn't keep doing it because if Tyson times it and then comes over the top while he's down there, it ain't gonna be good. And that would be in the back of my mind. Stop jabbing down there.
Absolutely.
If you catch the guy sleeping, don't mistake me. If you catch the guy sleeping, sleeping on the job, stick them to the belly. But don't pity pat with it. Stick it in there and make it count. Where you're gonna take some leverage away from them.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna take some money bank. You going in.
Your sound's gone, Uncle. Your sound's gone, Uncle. Your sound is gone. Your sound's gone. Your sound's gone. Your sound. No sound. There you go. Uncle Bashir has just left us there. He might come back in a moment. So yeah, I see a lot of people talking about the gloves. Coach Chris in the house talking about gloves and all the rest of it. Me, I just want to see a fair fight. That's what I want to see, a fair fight and get this fight over with. I gave my thoughts in my video I did earlier. I don't even want to talk about it again. I haven't listened to my thoughts in the video, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Frank Shirley would fight. Good question. Now, tonight has been for subscribers. Earlier tonight, I did a show. Earlier today, I did a show for members. Now I've done one for subscribers. If you're a subscriber, you can leave comments in the comment section, of course, and as you are today. But please do become a member, because probably fight night, it's more likely it'll be a members only, so that you can comment on fight night. So I think Uncle Bashir has gone now. So since he's gone, I think we'll call it a wrap as well. Thank you also, as always, for choosing to watch BWTM Sports Gaming. It's a wrap. Take care.